Okay, situated. Check, check. Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Hello. We're
Welcome to
back.
another
Yeah.
episode of
Everything,
And
nothing,
Nothing.
everything and nothing. And I just can't get over we just got some new sound equipment.
We did.
And we've been practicing with it before. It sounds so good.
Well, practicing, she means making sure and hoping that it works, crossing our fingers, being like, please, come on, everything come together.
I know. We keep trying to get to a place where we got the technology kinks worked out, and then we throw some more stuff in there. So
We finally got our camera to record more than half an hour. So
I
hopefully we
know.
don't have that issue anymore going forward either.
So maybe in
making some
another year,
upgrades.
it'll all be, we'll figure it out.
Iron it out, look professional.
Well,
even
we are
though,
learning on the fly. I mean, we're teaching ourselves everything. So
Yeah, I don't aim to be professional. I just aim to be explorative in ideas and commentary.
And for it just to be quality, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yep.
we like quality.
Yep, that's true. I am a sucker for perfection.
Yeah. Anyway, it's been a couple weeks or more.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Probably 3.
I think it's been 3.
Yep.
Yeah.
We got a table upgrade,
table.
downgrade, sideways
I'm not
grade,
sure
trying
where
out
we're
some new
going.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, hope we're all doing well. I'm happy you're joining us for another episode. And who's going first today?
I'm someone. And I think it's my turn.
And I'm Anezka. And welcome. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I think it
Take
is
it away.
my turn, and I have a topic
Oh my
to
gosh.
discuss.
Great. I always like that.
It seems to be up in the world, in the stratosphere. Mm-hmm. Seems to be getting people going. It's probably been something. Well, it's been with us for a long time. The topic is revolution. What does it mean? How do we accomplish such a thing? And what are we even revolting from?
Well, what's the definition of revolution?
Well, let's define revolution ourselves. I think revolution is an act of defiance against some sort of tyrannical or powerful system that's operating above or alongside you. That'd be my vague definition.
Can revolution happen, though, where it's not a tyranny? Can revolution happen where there's a revolution inside of yourself or something that's not cohesive or connecting, and so you're going to revolt?
Yeah, I
mean, is it kind of like a change? I mean, because I know the revolution you're talking about, but I'm thinking, are there other variations of revolution that's not like, oh, these badasses and we have to like fight them and take down the tyranny and, like
Yep, agreed. I think
a revolution of love. I mean, right? A revolution of like, I'm not going to participate in hatred.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have a revolution of love. I have a friend who makes calendars who I think is doing that, Sarah Love.
Yeah.
And it's she creates these beautiful I Stand for Love calendars. And I've always thought of her as in a revolution for love.
Well, that's good.
Which is another kind. But you're talking about more the tyrannical, bring it down,
No,
make change.
I'm asking what it means. Change,
Yeah.
sure. But I think really you have to ask yourself, what are you revolting from? And I think that's the classical definition. The classical definition of revolution is the Boston Tea Party, the Founding Fathers. That's kind of what we all learn about in the history books. That's kind of the example that's cemented.
Right.
But I think really a broader definition of revolution is some sort of fight for freedom. And that could be an external fight in the world. And that can also be an internal fight,
Yes.
trying to grow as yourself.
Yes.
It can also, revolution's also very much commingling with evolution and
Yes.
with like Renaissance, like these ideas of like growth and prosperity. That's like another way to kind of look at it.
Yeah, something's wanting to change.
Yeah,
Like something doesn't feel like it's working anymore.
Yep,
It's like
and
an
you're having to put
evolution.
in some work, some sort of fight, some sort of effort to catalyze that change. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what comes to mind is that, so I was born into a family from the get-go. My dad was a conspiracy theorist. I mean, he just was. I was born into it. So when people go like, oh, we're in this conspiracy, I'm like, I was eating that for breakfast the day I was born. My dad was really into that. And the revolution word's coming up because when I was probably like 14 years old, he became a part of a group called the Freedom Fighters. And there was a renegade, I call him a renegade, lawyer who had a very successful career as an attorney and was like, this game is bullshit. The laws and the, like they're breaking the law, the amendments, the constitutional, and amendments. And so he started this little band they called themselves Freedom Fighters. And my dad and other men were paying him money, and they were putting together a whole lawsuit against paying taxes, because the way that it's set up in the Constitution was it was actually illegal the way they were doing it and taking money, and they were really against it. And so my dad, they actually went to, Washington, D.C. and had a court hearing, and they lost. But it was interesting. My dad was like, but the judge said, like, you're not wrong. He goes, but I can't rule for you. And I think about that a lot these days as our world is in such turmoil. I think about that. And I remember when I was 21, my dad came to me and he said, I would like you to join this fight with me and stop paying taxes and doing all the things that he did. And I personally didn't have the courage. I had you and Athena. I was a single mom at the time. And I'm like, I'm like, Dad, I hear you, but I need to play the rules because I don't have, I need the money. I need to play the game. But I remember making that choice, and he really wanted me to join that. And I was like, I can't right now, Dad. And so I think about that, that revolution of trying to fight for what was, the founding fathers' Constitution. But so I guess the reason why I'm bringing that story up is because what I realize is that a revolution can happen on a big scale, and it can happen with a little band of farmers trying to make a difference for a change. Did it make a difference? My dad on his deathbed had some regrets, I would say. But if I look at the energetic aspect, it definitely everything makes a difference.
He made a difference to me.
Yeah. And in his own heart, and the way he stood up for things that he believes,
Well, and so one of the first things that, cause I've been thinking about this topic for a few weeks now. We've been stalling on getting this episode put together. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things that I really wanted to ask myself is, so what is the difference between revolution and peaceful revolution, right? Because right now in this country and in the world, and pretty much throughout any time and point that you exist, if you look around, there are people that are pissed off about one thing or another.
Yep.
And often there are groups of these people in the streets, committing violence against each other, probably in a lot of cases in more than one direction.
Yes.
And, I'm not, Gandhi preached peaceful revolution, and I think ultimately that's the way to do it. As soon as you start, bashing heads and yelling slurs and stuff like that, I think you basically just lose. I think anybody with any humanity and empathy immediately kind of detests you and wants to distance themselves from any sort of truth you might be even trying to talk about and start a conversation around. So I think peaceful revolution is the way to do it. So then what does that look like, and how do you do that, right? Mm-hmm. And there's no like successful revolutions that I can really think of that have happened completely peacefully. At some point, if your party or your ideology is strong enough and is threatening the powers that be to such an extent, they are going to push back. They're not going to like the fact that their positions are threatened. So, eventually you cause a reaction the other way, and you basically end up causing violence against your own movement, I feel like. And in that case, is violence justified? I don't know. That's another thing to think about. But leaving that aside for now, just how do we peacefully protest? How do we see a wrong and then, acknowledge and make our voice heard without causing a ruckus and causing harm and injury to others, right?
Yeah. I think that's one of the hardest things to do as a human being, because this is so interesting, because this is definitely going to tie into my topic. And I think that when that emotion hits of the ego base that I'm threatened, I'm standing up for, the threat against my ego, my identity. I feel power, like whatever that right or wrong mechanism is in each one of us as human beings ignites that feeling of I'm right, you're wrong. It creates that duality. And when that happens, it's really hard to back down from it because you feel people, me, us, I've seen a pattern, you feel very justified and you're fighting for something that if you let go of that, then you feel like you're losing a sense of yourself or your tribe's in danger or, whatever. And so for me, I always come back to, how can I tell the truth about my ego? How can I come back to that place and we've said this many, many, many times in our conversation, and I think we have to keep saying it because it's so easy to forget that we don't know everything and we're not always right. And we don't have the answer for everybody else. And everybody else gets to have their own belief and opinion. And I think that to de-escalate, it's like show up and be in that. But when you cross that blurred line of human decency, of like treat people the way you'd want to be treated, when we cross that line, then it just de-escalates. So it's like what are the tools? How can I keep myself in check that I don't think I know everything, and that allowing the space for both, because a lot of, I think what we're seeing right now in revolutions, it's us versus you. Yeah. It's me against, it's that very strong duality. And that has to keep, I think, being broken down. To keep peaceful resolution, we have to keep breaking that duality down and keep finding a common ground.
Thinking about it here and now, I think like one of the main issues with revolution is that you end up revolting against other people and hating other people of a different ideology or of a different, colored tie that they're wearing, or of a different shaped hat that they're wearing, or a different language that they're speaking, or whatever the division might be that you see. What side of, do they have, are they a police officer or are they not?
Right.
And so we end up, pointing at a group of people and saying, you guys are the demons, you guys are the bad guys. And I think that pretty much is guaranteed to lead to violent revolution of some sort, throwing objects, hurling insults, just being rabid and angry and having a mob-like mentality. You're gonna escalate out of that, and you're gonna, do something that has consequences. So I think the way to peacefully protest is to protest ideas and ideologies and systemic structures more than anything. And what I've come to think, and I'm open to learning more and refining this idea, because I really want to understand how to effectively protest without being a menace and without causing anybody any harm. What I've come to realize is I think the best way to do it is to not pay the systems that you loathe anything. I think your dad got it right. I think not paying taxes and not paying attention, because attention is the true value, the true currency that you have. Where you put your attention is extremely important. So when you're putting your attention into their news media circuits and getting pissed off and riled up about the things that they want you to be pissed off and riled up about, the media works as a two-team system, and really they have a red team, blue team mentality, and they're pitting these two viewer groups against one another. In a way to manifest one of the oldest maxims in history, which is divide and conquer.
Yes.
And when we are paying them our attention and allowing them to influence us and emotionally manipulate us to hate one another, that's a real issue. So I think the way to peacefully protest is just to basically be like, I don't care about those people. I don't care about those news shows. And hopefully I get to a point someday where, like your father, I can say, I don't care about taxes, and I ain't gonna pay for any more bombs. I'll instead of taxes, I'll go out and I'll work, a month every year, and I'll just go fix fucking roads. I'll just go out and I'll just do the work that needs to get done, because honestly, I'd probably do a better job anyways.
Yeah. Maybe.
Based on the potholes I've seen.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's an onion, right? And there are so many layers to it.
Yeah,
and,
it is.
And the thing with my dad, though, it's like, he didn't pay taxes. but it was, there were a lot of consequences from that too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was on the most wanted FBI list for a while and lost property, and, things were taken away. And so it wasn't a comfortable life, right? But I don't know. It's a tough one for me because, I mean, the way it is set up right now, it's like if you don't follow the rules, we do get punished.
Oh yeah.
I mean, other people, like the higher ups, don't seem to get punished, but those of us, peons, doing the work down here, we do get punished. So there is still that fear. There is still that fear. And I think that's why revolutions happen, is because people move past their fear and they're like, I'm breaking out of this prison and I don't care what the cost is. The pain of staying in the box that's too small and isn't right or is unjust or whatever that label is becomes unbearable more than the thought of death. More than the thought of death. Because that's really ultimately what we're all afraid of, right? Is like, we're going to be killed or put in jail or lose your property or, like somehow there's going to be some suffering consequence. And and we see it over and over and over again. And it's a really good question. It's a really good word. I don't know what the answer. I don't know how we're going to get through all of this, but I do know, for me, I'll just say, is I keep coming back to, rather than they need to change, I don't like them, making it that, I constantly come back again. And I know you say, you probably get tired of me saying this, but I tell you, it's my saving grace. I come back to myself. What can I do and what can I change to keep myself de-escalated? Because I feel the moment that I get into the anger and all of that with everybody else, then I feel like, and I'm getting in the mud and slinging it and spitting and hitting and whatever else, it's like, then nobody wins. It's like I just became what I didn't want to be. I just became what I was. Like you were saying, you then become the whole point of what you were fighting for. It's just, you become the opposite.
Yeah.
It gets muddied. It loses its true meaning, I guess. It gets diluted. Anyway, so that's what I always do, is come back to, how can I keep peace in my heart? And I'll tell you, it is, lately, I don't know about all of you guys out there, but I've been struggling. It's been a really hard January, moving into February. Been really tough to walk my walk, and not just talk about it. Be like, oh yeah, but really go like, nope. Bring the anger down. Like, how can I find that peaceful revolution? Because we do need a revolution, obviously, because it's happening right now.
Yeah.
The world's trying to evolve. We're trying to evolve, and that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
I mean, really, if you think about the word revolution, it's like a revolving door. It should be a consistent thing,
right?
A consistent process where we're just constantly revolving and growing and, making moves of one kind or another.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's a big one. It's a heavy one. I feel like it's pretty up right now in the world, love out to all my people in Minnesota one way or another. Got some friends out there. Hope y'all are doing good.
Yeah.
Hope y'all are staying safe on both sides of whatever picket line you might find yourself on. But yeah, it's been interesting. I feel like, since that first Hillary Trump election, there's been just a wedge driven into the fabric of our political community, which is just hasn't really healed. It's just been festering for the last, 12 years.
Yeah, I was going to say, though, but I do feel like there's some light. I do feel like there's some consciousness happening, though, that's evolving, that people are waking up to the fact that we are being manipulated, and that it isn't like there is no one right side's right and the other right side's wrong. I do feel like there is some consciousness coming around that, realizing that
Agreed.
we are being pit against each other, that there is a breakdown that's happening of, we got to start looking behind the curtain and stop just taking the face value of like, oh, those guys are bad and these guys are good. No, the whole thing is degraded and corrupt in some way. The system isn't working anymore, and it's trying to break down and heal. But the way it's happening feels like it's the old paradigm still of somebody needs to be killed and put down in order for the change to happen, you know? And I think there's a way for us to make change, though, that isn't necessarily either or, like and maybe that's bullshit. Maybe I'm just being Pollyanna and deluding myself, but I truly think that it is possible.
Yeah.
Because I'm inside myself doing that change every day, consciously choosing not to go into hate and anger. And it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think there is a way. I think that probably is ultimately the best, most idyllic way. There's some phrase like, you know, the tree of freedom grows in the blood of tyranny or something. But I think on a deeper level, probably the best thing to do is to forgive all of the monsters that are playing right now. There are a bunch of them in a lot of tiers and spheres of life and business. A lot of people have done a lot of terrible things. You know, we've all done terrible things to a certain degree, and some people have condemned many, many to die, and some people have abused many, many others. And I think, you know, the justice part of me, you know, thinks like, yeah, I'd love to see justice for those people. Oh my gosh, right? I'd love to see them put under. But I think really, you know, wouldn't it be that much more powerful to forgive and actually have people transform? And once again, that could be the naivety in me. You know, but I do know that people are capable of a true redemption arc. That is possible.
It is.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't know how we get there. I know I'm looking. I know I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I know you know, this whole world is changing. That's guaranteed. Mm-hmm. And if we all kind of band together and have a say in it, I think it'll change for the better.
Yeah. Well, and just to go back to that, the duality part, you know, I mean, if you look at the Buddhists and, you know, you look at a lot of these ancient traditions, I mean, they always taught the middle path, that there's another choice, you know, and that's something that I've really tried to follow, is like always trying to find the through line, like rather than being caught up in the duality, because duality is just really like one stick, right? It's, if you look at one whole continuum, right? And this is in the Buddhist philosophy, the Tao, you know, the yin and yang, you've got the dark on one side and the light on one side, right? But it's still on one stick. So what's in the center? The center is kind of like the middle point between the two. We have a little crystal here today. This is the Tao way. So that's what I always try to use as a marker, is like coming back to that middle path, you know, of not in anger and not like, oh, everything's wonderful, but like contentment, like I don't know. It's like
There's
that.
There's also a true value that evil adds and brings to our worldly experience here. You know, there's like, you watch a movie or read a book and you have the hero of your novel. And the hero can only be as brave and as courageous and as noble as the villain is evil, right? You have to have that opposite to overcome to really know who it is that you can be. You have to know, you have to have the shadow for the light to be able to shine bright.
Yeah.
So they're really, you know, when you really get deep, which I would rather just stay petty and shallow and hate them.
You would not.
I mean, you know, part of me would. Part of me definitely does. Part of me loves the idea of justice.
Just like getting in there and like punching people out. And
they ruined my world. We got to tear it down and burn them down, you know.
Okay,
part of me is petty like that, for sure.
Yeah, I hear you.
But really, you look a little deeper and you have to kind of appreciate and honor the people that are able to hold that really dark, deep, karmic burden. That, I mean, you have to be miserable. You have to be miserable knowing, carrying and shouldering all of those bad decisions, you know?
Yes.
We all carry our own bad decisions, and we know how burdensome those are.
Yes.
Now imagine you destroyed an entire nation of people. Like, that would probably keep you up 1 or 2 nights.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and maybe you've had this experience. I know I have. I've had the experience of where I've let myself get into the shadow and be really angry and retaliate in petty ways when I'm mad.
Yep.
And then I've had the opposite experience of where I have actually been able to really like take a higher road and be more forgiving and loving and more peaceful. And I'll tell you what, the latter one feels a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
And it feels like it brings a truer change. Whereas the first route of being petty and all that, it doesn't change anything. It makes it worse. I feel worse. The whole situation is worse.
And you feel embarrassed a little bit afterwards.
Yeah. But whereas the other one, it's like when something can be healed, and I mean, I have had a lot of experiences with this, and that kind of love afterwards, where something really angry, and I'm thinking about some old relationships that were really hard, that then there was a healing, and it was just like such a deep peace to not be carrying around that anger and hostility, and it's yeah.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
I believe that because I have experienced that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait till you get to mine.
We don't have to wait long.
All right.
Yeah, I think there's really not too much more I wanted to dig in on that. I mean, it's a big topic. I'm sure we could, probably write a couple novels on it, but leave it there for now. Anything else you want to say about revolution?
Yeah, I'm just gonna think about. I just want to think about my part of this revolution, because I think we are in a revolution right now. I mean, I truly do, as a human species. And so I want to think a little bit more this week about what's my part and how do I want to participate. So thank you for that. Yeah. All right. Guess we're going to take a short break. We'll see you in a minute.
Ta-ta.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Dane Frost. I'm here from Belt Shelf LLC, and we are building belts and platforms to help couriers around the world carry packages easier. Whether you're working on a construction site moving lumber, whether you're moving 16 miles a day up and down stairs moving people's packages, this little guy right here with the core belt is going to help you carry longer, easier. Check us out, www.beltshelf.org, and give us a look. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I was just smiling to myself as we were doing your topic, because my topic today was, the word that came up was hatred. Hatred. And like I was saying earlier, this last month has been really challenging for me. And I'm the kind of person that I've always been, I don't know why, I've always been curious about healing myself, like looking at like, who am I and how can I make myself better and what makes me tick? And, like it's weird. I've always been that kind of a person, like going and self-discovering. And so after a lifetime, I mean, I really started like going to counseling when I was probably like 18 years old. I feel like I've acquired a lot of tools. I feel like I have a pretty good handle on myself. And I would say lately, even with all my self-knowing and discovery and tools, I have found myself feeling powerless, feeling depressed, confused, angry, disillusioned, even a little raging sometimes. And then I'm like, so everything that we've been talking about today, I've really been having to do my own work, because I just, in watching all the news and then reading all the alternative stuff that's out there, it's like, it feels like gasoline on a fire, right? And it's just like ignited. And to me, it feels a little bit like, being in a dysfunctional family where you're seeing things, or you're experiencing things, and people are telling you like, no, this is normal. No, there isn't anything wrong with this. This is good. And feeling that same like crazy feeling, like, am I losing my mind? And then, watching the killings of the two people in Minneapolis, and literally like crying and feeling the grief in my body. And it's like, how do I walk that line of allowing myself to grieve something that I've witnessed, that I feel like is out of alignment, and yet not get into the story and hate, So I've been living this, I guess is what I've been saying, in a very real way. And so this word came up to me, hatred, right? Like, what is it? And I just want to read a little something. So I thought it was interesting is that human hatred is complex. Well, we know that, right? Learned emotion often rooted in fear, insecurity, and a need for control rather than an innate trait. It is frequently driven by the us versus them mentality where people devalue others to boost their own in-group, often stemming from threats for survival or identity. And I just wanted to read that definition because I think that that really sums up. I mean, we've already been talking about this, right? About with the revolution, about the hatred and the different things. So what is it like what is happening? Like, where is this powerlessness and like what's happening? And do you think this is learned or do you think we're born with hatred?
Hello. I think I hate hatred.
Okay, there you go.
No, I haven't really thought about hatred in a while, but I did back in the day. I remember put a good amount of effort into it. And really, hatred, I think, is just inverted love.
What?
Like, I
Explain
think
that, yeah.
So I think
Inverted
hatred
love.
comes about when you really love something and
Oh.
then something threatens that thing that
Oh.
you love. And so you develop a true detest, a true loathing, a true wanting
Yeah.
to distance as far as you possibly can from this thing because it's threatening or has threatened one of the things that you care most about, which you want to preserve.
Yeah.
Yeah, I so, whether that's some ideology that you have, which is being threatened, which I've seen a lot of times,
Yeah.
people in certain small thinking groups will really detest outside thinkers. Certain people will really detest and really hate, somebody who has hurt somebody in their family they've cared about. I think that's pretty
Yes.
reasonable and a pretty easy one to understand.
Yes.
It's yeah, I feel like so love is one of the most powerful forces in this world that we are in. And hatred is a response to having your love threatened. That would be my initial take on it.
Yeah. I mean, I'd never thought about it like that, but that's, yeah, I mean, that absolutely makes sense. And for me, I don't think that, I believe that we are not born with hatred.
No.
I think that hatred is something that is learned through our tribe that we're grown into or, raised in, through propaganda, which we're really seeing is what you were talking about with the word revolution, the different sides of the media. I think we're being fed a lot of hatred right now.
We are.
And
Fear.
yeah,
Fear
and fear.
Fear and hatred
Yeah.
are great mechanisms to use to control people.
Yeah. And again, I've always said this, but when I see these groups and people, there's a lot of powerlessness, that is driving people.
Well, you see it. They all claim to be a victim. All these people claim victimhood and then
Yeah.
go out and perpetrate.
Yeah.
And it's a bit infuriating.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, it's easy to feel hate when you feel like certain groups, like our government is like, has all this money and taking our taxes and spending it the way we don't want, like there's a lot of fuel for, especially right now.
And so also like the whole victim mentality is interesting because if you believe you're a victim, you are a victim. If you believe you're powerless, you are powerless over whatever you're only a slave if you believe and accept that you're a slave. Like that's all up to you. And that's where true revolution is too. True revolution is believing you are free. Believing you are free from whatever boogeyman or thing that is threatening you. You have to believe you're free. Now that might have real world consequences and you might have to suffer those.
Yeah.
But you're planting the tree for the next generation to enjoy the shade and the fruit.
Yes.
You can do it nonviolently. You just have to believe you are free from the hatred, from the fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and it's like, and there's two sides of this hatred. So how do we deal with when we are the receiver of hatred, and how do we, address when we are the hater? So there's both sides of this coin, and it's interesting because I'm just going to share this story. I told this to you earlier, but go ahead. You have a
No. You go ahead. I got a point though.
I was, so I live in Portland, and I was going down to Old Town to work, which is really the heart of homelessness where I work on a regular basis. And I was coming out, because there's a lock gate. I was coming out, and there was a homeless man standing on the side, which I almost hit, and I stopped my car because I have to put a padlock on the gate. And he was walking, by, and he got in front of me, and he started coming. I just said, "Gosh, I'm sorry, I didn't see, I'm sorry about that." And he's like, and he was very angry. He's like, "Sorry about what?" And comes running at me, and I felt fear. Like, I felt that anger and hatred coming at me, and I said, "Well, I don't want to hit you." And he's like, "Well, the world's fucked right now. Everything's so fucked." And he was coming right at me. And I know enough now that, whenever these situations, I always stand very firm, and I always look whoever is attacking me right in the eyes. I don't ever look away, or I always stand like, okay, well, if it's coming, I'm gonna take it full on the face. And came right up to me, and I could tell he wasn't really expecting that. And he was just going on like, "It's fucked," and then he started saying some stuff about, well, in the Bible we talk about God. It's all about God. And I said, because I've been in a lot of dangerous situations, I've learned this skill. And I just said, "Wow," I said, "thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with me, and you're right, the world is fucked right now." And he wasn't expecting that. And it just de-escalated him. Like, he was coming to attack me, and then it just kind of de-escalated the moment. And he was just like, "Yeah." And then he went on to talk about how he likes to get high and all this stuff. And I just, again, was like, "Yeah, well, you know what, dude? It's your life. You want to get high, get high." And then I tried to move around him, and he blocked me for the third time. And he's like, "Well, and there's one more thing." And each time he was getting less and less de-escalated, right?
Yeah, he was getting...
So, yeah. And then the last time he was like, "Well, and in the Bible, it talks about hypocrisy. And hypocrisy is about love." And I was like, wow. I said, "I really am about love." And I said, "Right now, you and I are having this loving moment." And I said, "I'm just sending you all this love." And he was just like, you could tell that at each phase, it was like rewiring his brain, because hatred wants hatred. Yeah, hatred wants conflict.
Confrontation. Yep.
Confrontation. And then at the very end, and I said, "You know what?" I said, "You just take all this love with you all day long." And he was like, yeah, I'm taking the love, man." And he just walked off, and I finally could get around him, and I got in my car, and he was like, "Yeah, it's about the love." And he walked on, and I got in my car, and I was shaking, because it could very have easily have been an altercation, which is what he was coming to do harm. Because I know the difference of when someone is going to just like say shit and when someone wants to hurt me. He was so angry and so high on drugs, he was wanting to hurt someone. And to me, I didn't even realize this until, because I picked this topic a while ago. But to me, I think that's like when we're receiving hatred, like all these like protests and stuff, it's like I feel like we have to de-escalate it, de-escalate it with peace.
Yeah.
Peace. Like just go to that place no matter how angry you are. Because anyway, I can say more, but you had something you wanted to say to that.
Well, I just wanted to say, I think the answer to both of your proposed situations, your situation was, what do you do when you are being hated against, and what do you do when you're being hateful towards? And I think the answers in both situations is forgive.
Yeah.
And that's kind of tough. And what does that even mean? I don't know. Did we even have forgiveness as a topic before? Maybe. We've at least talked about it.
Yeah, we have talked about it.
You have to step back, and you have to distance yourself and your ego from the situation that you are, or your, opponent is taking so seriously and getting so wound up about. We have to take that breath and take that moment to, you know what? This isn't that important of an issue, really. Like, I mean, people out in the world are getting killed and people are being exploited, and that's extremely serious and very grave, and
Yeah.
And I don't have to go berate somebody about it.
Yeah.
And if somebody's berating me about it, I mean, in certain like if somebody's trying to actively hurt you, I mean, there is a time to check.
Yes.
Men are born stupid. I was a very stupid boy for a long time, and stupid boys learn a lot by getting hit in the face once or twice. I mean, it's just, nature,
So glad I didn't have
There's
to
a
learn.
reason why bar fights happen, and
My
it's because a
God.
lot of people, a lot of guys are doing really stupid stuff. And test, like, we like to test the boundaries, we got to test it all and see where the line is. How far can I go? That's just a boy thing. And so there is, physical altercation does come into effect in certain places, but I think forgiveness is the biggest one if you can practice it.
Yeah.
Especially because that's where you have the real power too, is when you're being the hateful one. That's where you really can change. And that's really where you said you always come back to yourself and look
Yes.
at, what I can do here. That's really where we have true power is changing here. And then by changing here, we can change the way we express ourselves. And then through our expression of ourselves, we change those around us as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll say I've been in quite a few situations now where it's amazing that I have really, it's a skill I didn't really want or know that I would have, but I really do have a skill with de-escalating emergency violent situations.
Yeah.
And I've done it a few times, and it's just, again, it reminds me of like the Tai Chi or whatever, where you take that
movement.
energy and you just go with it. You don't try to stop it. You just redirect it. You go with it.
You dance with it. Yeah.
And and it's like I learned this at a Mormon beauty college thing. There was like this thing when I was young. It was called Beauty Is You, and one of the things they were talking about, if you were ever picked up by a violent person or whatever, that you talk nonsense. You never go show fear. You never go into the victim mode.
Don't be powerless.
Right. Don't be powerless. And it's served me well. But the hatred with myself, I find, is harder to deal with. And for me, and I don't know what you think about this, because I think for a while I was trying to just not feel hatred or anger.
Yeah.
And I think that's wrong.
Anger serves a purpose.
Yeah. And it's a part of being a human. But I think that for me, I've had to learn how to use it productively.
And there's a difference between feeling angry and acting angry.
Exactly.
And as another boy thing, that's one of the things we have to learn, right?
Yeah.
Like men, we inherently have much more of a hot head. We are, to protect our tribe, our family, ourselves, whatever.
Yeah.
We have to be able to engage into that anger. And so, like, naturally, I think we are closer to that at any given moment.
Yes.
And you have to learn how to feel that anger and use it where appropriately, and then express it in a non-angry manner.
Yeah, and in a productive, because what I do, and I've learned, is like I will write letters out angrily and then burn them and never give them to people. Yes, it works.
Yeah.
Walking angrily, where I'm just like, oh, fuck this, and so, or, like being in my room, like finding, like punching stuff out. Like I've used a punching bag for a while. We had one in the back downstairs, and I would just wail on that and scream when I was so angry about things. And then I can go and show up in a productive way around people and places and things and keep my cool. But I am absolutely not an advocate about stuffing and trying to be all love and sunshine. It's bullshit, and it doesn't work. It'll come out somehow. So, and then how to then go to these rallies, or how then to show up, how to make bills, how to use the systems in place to fight in ways that, I think it's a level of maturity too, don't you think?
I mean,
it's about
emotional regulation definitely gets easier with practice. I mean, anything gets easier with practice. So as you grow, that's what maturity is you have more experience to draw from.
Yeah.
You have more times feeling these ways, and you have more ideas of how what works and what doesn't work to get through it.
And I think that the other part of this hatred thing for me, that because I'm not a Trump supporter, here's a funny story. So I met Trump when I was 26 years old. I was dating a man. We had flown to Palm Springs, and we were staying at this hoity-toity hotel, and he was there having dinner with the owner, who my boyfriend at the time was really good friends with. And so I met Donald Trump, and we were sitting and having a conversation, and I didn't like him then either. I didn't like him. I didn't like his personality. He rubbed me the wrong way. And so just he and I just he's just not been my cup of tea. However, why I'm bringing this in is because I have felt very negative emotions towards him and other people. But lately, I feel secure in myself now that I actually really listen to him. I'm really listening to people that are different than me, that trigger me. I'm really listening and I'm trying to find the commonalities. And I think I'm going to say, I feel like that's brave of me because it's easy to say, oh, F that person. I hate him. Yep. I don't like him. But no, I listen. And you know what? I think that there are some things that he's trying to do that I think are good. I don't really like the way he's going about doing them. But I do think I'm actually having some common ground sometimes where I'm like, yeah, I can see that. And I think that is where we need to go. Is like, where can we disagree and yet also not be so biased and so blinded on either side that you can't hear and see the truth, all the truth.
Well, and here's an interesting point. So you hate somebody, let's say, and they don't even know you exist.
That's a good point.
So, I mean, really, what are we doing here? I mean, you're the one who's carrying all the negative baggage at that point. Yeah. You're the one who's having your life be affected by this abstract idea of somebody signing a paper somewhere or not. And yeah, sure, we can argue that the government makes decisions and that has real ramifications in our life, and it does to an extent. But let's even take politics out of it. People hate other people in other positions that really have no relevance or bearing on who they are at all.
Exactly.
And, a lot of us probably have hated people or, detested certain situations that the other person was completely unaware of. And what is that serving? Mm-hmm. No matter who you're hating, there's something happening here once again, which is causing you to feel that way. So what is that? Why is that? What's the broader reason? Yeah. And maybe how do we heal that and come to our own peace?
Oh, I so agree. Well, and that's another part. It's not just hating out here. I mean, there's also self-hatred, which I've bottled with my whole life, quite honestly, in transparency. There have been like a lot of times I just don't like who I am. I don't like things about me. And I have felt that self-hatred. And sometimes I feel like that has been the fuel of something that's reflected out here. So I think that's perfect of like going inside, because I truly believe wherever you go, there you are. And if it's not Trump, it's going to be Biden. If it's not Biden, it's going to be somebody else. And if it's not, there's always going to be that. There's always going to be that yin and yang, the dark and the light. It's always going to be there. Yeah. So wouldn't it be better if all of us, figure out how to deal with differences and conflict and and find, I love that, finding your own power.
Yeah,
not having over people. Don't and not the kind of power where you're over someone and you think you know everything and you're going to show them and prove them. But the kind of power that we can allow everyone to take space and have breath, and that it doesn't take anything away from us. That's my goal. That's my hope. And like I said, I'm really trying to practice that every day of like just yesterday I was in my car and I was feeling a lot of hatred on a lot of things. And I was just like, I recognized it. I'm like, oh, wow, here I am. I'm having all this thing. If they, it's like, no, that's not going to change. It's like, what can I do to find my own peace? And, and I'll just keep doing that. But I just wanted to pick, with everything that's happening in the world right now, I just felt like I could not talk about
it's a good topic.
These bigger things,
I mean, and it's interesting too, because words are very powerful. People can be convinced to do a lot of things based on words and rhetoric and ideas and boogeymen. And I've watched families, turn on each other and hate themselves, hate each other, based on conflicting ideas. And one of the reasons why we hate ourselves is because we have this idea of who we should be, and these other parts of us, these vices, have another idea, and so we have this internal conflict also. Yeah. But I just remembered, I had a point that I had forgotten. There's this idea that you achieve world unity or national unity by having an external threat, right? You bring everybody together, you rally everybody together against a common enemy. right? You
Yes.
need the Soviet Union in order to get everybody on board and
Yep.
become a strong military complex, get everybody kumbaya, hand in hand, we're all going the same direction.
Yeah.
The idea that you could bring the whole world together if you had like an extraterrestrial invading force or something. Do we need an enemy? Do we need an enemy to feel cohesive and secure in ourselves? Is that really something that's necessary? Because the argument is that it is in order to have cohesion. I think it, like the immature level we're operating, that might be the case, but there's got to be a better way.
I
There's got to be a better way.
I know. As a species, I'm hoping that we grow up and that
Yeah.
there is a better way. But I think right now, I mean, I have grandkids and we watch TV shows from the time they are born. There's like little tiny cartoons. And what's the premise? There's a villain.
Yeah. Good
There's a
versus evil.
villain.
The hero's journey.
Every cartoon, well, I'm not going to say every, but majority. So it's introduced to us
Yeah, we're programmed.
when we're babies.
Yeah.
So I don't think we know any other way because we're kind of trained. The only way is if we constantly have something to fight against.
Yeah, every Disney
Peace.
movie that I grew up, there's, the hero and there's the villain. And the hero gets, pushed down and shoved aside. And there's something very beautiful in the hero's journey because
Right.
we all are kind of on our own hero's journey.
Yeah,
But at the same time, there's got to be another story.
there is.
Yeah.
I think that's part of what this revolution is that we're trying, at least in my mind and heart, like we are trying to evolve to something beyond kill and be killed. I mean, everyone in my circle, we're so tired. Like, haven't we learned from history? Haven't we learned? I mean, just look back through our whole historical. It's the same thing. Somebody wants the power, they take it, they get fed up, then somebody else takes the power, let's kill and be killed. And it's just the same story over and over and over. And at least in my circles, all of us were like, we're done with the story. We're done killing and being killed. Can't we come together in a different way?
I just
That
want
middle
to
path.
ask one question.
Okay, ask it.
Who do we kill next?
Oh my God. The DJ?
The DJ. Hey, Mr.
No,
DJ.
I don't know. Like maybe no one.
Maybe Mr. Hatred?
Yeah, Mr. Hatred. Oh,
Some big ones.
big ditto. We both side. The big side at the same time.
You
But
calling it a
anyway,
jinx?
yeah,
Calling a jinx?
calling it jinx. But I just, yeah, I think for me, I just want to leave off with, I think one of the first steps in moving beyond hatred is like becoming conscious and how do we release stress? How do we release stress? So if you're starting to feel all amped up, how do you begin to de-escalate yourself? Maybe stop watching TV for a while. Stop putting in information. Maybe just take a few days and go camping. Unplug.
It's nice to be caught up on
Unplug.
world events, but honestly,
Unplug.
sometimes we don't need to pay attention.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's all just a puppet show, theater put on for us to entertain and to divide us. And the more I've watched it, the more I realize it's kind of futile, and they just wind up one side emotionally and the other side emotionally, and we all run around like chickens with our
yeah.
heads cut off,
Yep.
running around, running into each other, and
Yep.
it's it's getting old.
It is. So I do watch news and then I take a break and I just go away for a while. And but anyway, there's a lot of ways and you can I'll figure out. I'm going to do some more. I like to exercise. I go for walks. Nature's a great way to de-escalate. Just keep doing my
Just
own work.
Go take a walk outside and
Go
realize
play.
that the world's pretty damn nice out there.
Yeah.
I remember when Portland was burning down, we had all the riots, and yeah, there were some streets
There
that
was
were
some
getting
stuff that was
torn down,
happening.
and there was some stuff going on, but for the most part, 99% of us were living our normal lives, doing our normal stuff, being good to our neighbors,
Walking
taking
in the
care of our
park.
community,
Yeah.
having our lives, and we were like, yeah,
Yes.
well, they tore down our statue, whatever. I guess we'll build another one eventually. And it's painted as much worse than it actually is. If you
Always.
turn away from the screen, go take a walk outside. Just yesterday, I saw an old couple walking down the street, just picking up garbage, just because they wanted to clean our city.
Yeah.
Just people doing small acts of kindness. It's
You'll find what you're looking for.
a mostly good world.
Yeah. And it's definitely better than the alternative. which is death.
Death and destruction.
Because I think about that all the time. Like I had a moment I was crossing the bridge and I was just feeling so sad and just, like it's hard to be alive right now. And then the sun came out and I was looking around. I'm like, it's a really good shitty day to be alive. No, but what I was saying is like, but I'm alive and I get to witness this and I get to be a part of it in some small way or some big way.
A lot of it's a show.
Yeah.
But what an interesting show it is to live through.
It is. And I'm really grateful to be here.
Yeah.
I really am. And so like that's how I relieve stress, is to come back to these moments of, okay, who am I? Why am I here? What's really important? And find someone to have a conversation with, and who can I love today? And it makes it better.
Yeah.
Makes it better.
It does.
So,
well,
I think I'm complete.
I care about all of you.
Yeah.
I care about you.
I care about
about our world.
Care about our world
I
a
like
lot.
to keep talking about it, thinking about it, and hopefully we get a little bit better ideas of how to make, meaningful, positive change. That we create this world. Let's go out here and keep creating it. Let's make the world better.
Yep, and let's create it from love and peace and
healthy anger.
And healthy anger that's not done on your neighbors.
Exactly.
Or family members.
Yep.
Oh, it's been great. It's been a great day. Yeah. Thank you for the conversation. And if you like this, go ahead and push the like and please subscribe. We're just so grateful for all your comments and joining along in the conversation. I hope you're finding your own group.
Yeah.
To talk to. It feels good. It feels good to connect.
Go hang out with your friends. Go pet your dogs. Check out her feng shui website.
We'll have that at the bottom.
We'll link it. Check out our belt shelves. Help out a career, Yeah. And I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
Have a great day, guys, and we'll be back in a couple weeks. All right. Be well.
See you down the road.
Excellent tea.